Sanna, welcome to the Impact Conference. Thank you so much for joining us. I was planning to start this conversation with a very general question about the state of global affairs, but it's hard to escape from what is essentially happening here and right now. We're in Poland, that is neighboring with Slovakia, where an elected official, Prime Minister Fico, was shot yesterday. What does it tell you about global affairs, and how do you look at what happened yesterday?
Well, first of all, I'm very honored to be here with you today. What happened yesterday was absolutely shocking and an attack for our all democracies. I was just talking yesterday in the Copenhagen Democratic Summit, and we were discussing the state of democracy, and afterwards this terrible thing happened. And of course, all of us feels the hurt of Slovakian people and wish speedy recovery for Prime Minister Fico in Slovakia. So it doesn't tell very well the state of European democracy, and it's very worrying that we're seeing these kind of attacks against our democracies. When we look at the world more general, I think we are witnessing, as we speak, a very broad wide of values that is happening across the world. The rule-based order that we all agreed since the World War II is being challenged by authoritarian countries and states for very heavily way. And of course, one forefront is the war in Ukraine that we are witnessing right now.
Speaking of the war in Ukraine, we're meeting in Poland today where the heat of this war is felt in an extraordinary manner. Do you think that the free world is doing enough for Ukraine? And since I expect, because of what you do, that you do not believe that, what do you think else should be done in very concrete terms?
Well, we are not doing enough, and we are not doing it fast enough. And I think we should also look back a few years when the war started and what we have done since. It was very important that European Union, European countries with its allies like Great Britain or United States did put sanctions on very fastly, did provide help to Ukraine very fastly, but still the help that Ukraine has received hasn't been substantial enough. They need more weapon. They need more heavy weapon. They need air surveillance. They need air force defense capabilities. They need a lot of ammunition. They're using so much material every day, and we need to make sure that they will get the material that they need. And of course, also a big question is the financial aid that Ukraine gets. I'm very happy about the new decision of United States to provide Ukraine with financial aid, but they need more. And I think one of the big questions that is out there is what will happen to the frozen Russian assets, almost 300 billion euros that it's frozen, mostly in Belgium. What will happen to those frozen Russian assets? Can we use it? If not directly through international law, maybe as a collateral, maybe as leverage to gain other kind of funds. I think there should be very heavy cost to Russia to cut Russia out from the international community, but also very heavy financial cost to Russia. We need to show to the world, not only to Russia, but also other authoritarian countries out there, that it doesn't pay off to attack independent, sovereign country. There will be consequences, and there will be heavy consequences. And that's why I think it's also very important that we discuss about the matter of the frozen Russian assets and what will happen to them. I know this is one of the key priorities for Ukrainian government. I just visited there a couple months ago and discussed with the matter with the Prime Minister Mihail and others. So I know that this is one of the priorities that they are now looking at, but what they need is military help, they need weapons, they need more ammunition, they need heavy weapons, they need financial aid, they need humanitarian aid, and we need to help Ukraine any way we can, because we cannot afford, as Europeans, as democracies, to let Russia win. If there would be a future where Russia would gain land, win somehow in Ukraine, we would only see decades and decades of war ahead. The next up would be Moldova, then maybe Western Balkans, then there would be only more and more suffering. So I don't think that us as democracies can afford to let our values slide, let Ukraine lose, let Russia win, because then we would only end up in a worse situation where all of us should fear for our future constantly.
And supporting That needs to go with a clap. But supporting also means embracing. Are you optimistic about Ukraine joining the EU?
I am optimistic. I want to see a future for Ukraine where Ukraine will have that pathway towards EU. I actually work with Tony Blair Institute of Global Change as well as doing events like this. And one of my key missions is to help Ukraine on its EU pathway, also Moldova to its EU pathway. I also was a member of this international working group trying to find ways for Ukraine to join NATO in the future. We just handed out the report a couple of days ago in the Copenhagen Democracy Summit. So I think we need very concrete steps for Ukraine, for Moldova, with the EU accession, but also when it comes to Ukraine with the NATO accession. I think there needs to be a very clear pathway in this also, and we need to send to Putin that signal that whatever happens, the ending will be Ukraine in EU, Ukraine in NATO, and Putin don't get to intimidate us in a ways that he is now trying to do. So I want to see a future of Ukraine being a part of EU and part of NATO if they wish so.
Speaking of enlargements and NATO, you swiftly walked Finland into NATO. That must look great on a resume, by the way. How do you see the future of NATO, and do you recognize it as fit for purpose for this new era of new challenges and where we are with the state of global affairs? Did you walk Finland into NATO with this trust?
Well, I want NATO that is strong, and now the most important elections coming up concerning this matter is of course the US elections. We have also witnessed statements, especially from the former President Donald Trump, and he has said that there might be a future with weaker NATO, and I don't want that to happen. I think we need strong US, we need strong US presence in NATO, and we need strong NATO more now than ever. So I want to see a future for NATO that is strong, that is capable, but we also have to see the problems that we have witnessed. For example, when Finland and Sweden decided to join NATO, we saw a situation where two countries delayed the joining of countries that fulfilled all the criteria. And I think it's not good for NATO's perspective to show that kind of weakness, that if we have countries that fulfill the criteria, I think it should be handled very smoothly and very effectively, the joining process. And this didn't happen, so there was a leverage for certain countries, Turkey, Hungary, to use that opportunity to also negotiate about NATO matters. And I don't think that is a good thing from NATO's perspective. It doesn't boost NATO's credibility. So I think there are still discussions within NATO that needs to be held, because we need strong NATO, and there shouldn't be any weaknesses or vulnerabilities when it comes to the functioning of NATO, even though we all understand it's political organization run by politicians, not by military people, even though it's of course a defense organization as well. But I'm very happy that Finland joined NATO. I'm very happy that we are now a member. I think it was evident when Russia attacked Ukraine. We all could see that we don't anymore have the neighbor that we thought we had, with reason, respecting international rule-based order. Now we see that Russia is the country that doesn't respect any rules that we have set up together. So it was evident that Finland would join after that kind of brutal attack.
Yeah. It's indeed a super election year globally. You mentioned US election, but also in a few weeks Europeans will head to the polls, and in many ways we'll see a new cohort of European leaders, especially now that you're looking at it from afar and it's easier to give advice. What priorities would you put in front of that new cohort of European leaders in the next term?
Well, there will be European elections, and I think we will also see some kind of shift within European politics. I think there will be some kind of rise of European far right, and that's worrying from my perspective. but still, there are so many things that Europe needs to focus on, especially in the upcoming term. Continue with the green and digital transition. It's very crucial from our competitiveness, but also from security point of view. I think we will go to technology very soon, and I would like to say a few words about that. But also we need to boost European defense, and I think it's a very good idea that we would have this kind of defense commissioner, even though it wouldn't be handling the things that are in the mandate of member states, like defense, but defense industry, the capabilities that we need as countries to make sure that Europe is more capable when it comes to defense. I think it's a good initiative to have this kind of defense commissioner also focus more on that. And then we have witnessed so many crises, so we need really a strong European Union as well. I think the past few years with pandemic, with the war, with energy crisis, with inflation, with all the problems that European citizens have witnessed, I think the answer to that is more cooperation, more stronger Europe, more political will to do things together. And I hope that the upcoming European parliamentary term will also be a platform for deepening the cooperation that we urgently need.
So let's go to technology and competitiveness for a second, because there's also this radical interpretation of where Europe is today, that it's a continent of aging 500 million people with big wallets, no sensible migration policy, and no actual own real growth base. How can we build on that in the next 5 years of the 5 years term broadly as an ecosystem? Like how to build up European competitiveness with the use of technology?
Well, European Union is the biggest economy in the world, so we have benefits. So we are the biggest economy together. There are so many talented people in Europe. We have such a great history, so there are so many things to be built on. But still, I think we need to work on many matters. And one angle is, of course, the upcoming technologies. Our societies are so technologized already. We are digitalized already, but we will be even more so in the future. Everything will be digitalized. When it comes to our hospitals, our schools, our transportation system, the basic functioning of societies, not to speak of even the private sector, the businesses, the industries, everything will be digitalized, and automation, for example, will be a much bigger part in our societies. And we don't afford to lose this technological race. And we don't afford to be dependent on authoritarian countries when it comes to new technologies. China and US is already putting so much money into technologies, and we are lacking behind. We lack those big companies, those big tech companies. We lack innovation. I think there are so many brilliant people in Europe. There are also so many brilliant new innovations, but we lack the willingness to boost these innovations and really make it a reality, a European technologies that we really need. We don't. Well, thank you so much. Thank you so much. We don't afford the same mistakes with technology that we did with energy. We were too dependent on Russian gas, Russian energy. And where it got us? It got us in a situation when Russia attacked Ukraine, it attacked the whole continent of Europe by weaponizing energy. And we cannot afford this thing to happen when it comes to technology. And why? You don't build semiconductor factories over 1 year. You don't build those new technologies that we need and depend on now and in the future even more so over a month. We need to start preparing now not to be dependent on authoritarian countries, because once things will happen, it's not like if bad things will happen also in the future. And we need to be more prepared when that happens. So we need to boost our own innovation. And how to do that? First, you need to invest in people. You need to invest in education, R&D. You need to invest in talented people. I think this is the basic and the whole floor of European innovation and tech. We need to invest in people, in education, the know-how, the knowledge of our own people. And then we really need public-private partnerships more. Politicians, whether they are from European Parliament or national parliaments or states, they need to cooperate, discuss with these technological companies, because politicians don't have the know-how. The companies, the people, the private sector has the know-how. But politicians and democracies have to make sure that all the new technologies, whether it's AI or quantum or you name it, has those ethical rules so it benefits our society. So we need real cooperation, we need real discussion when it comes to these new technologies. And I think if we do this, then we will really boost our economy. We will have the opportunity to solve big global challenges like the climate crisis, big global challenges when it comes to renewing our societies throughout technology. So I would say, put your money into education, put your money into people, and then boost up the public-private partnerships when it comes to new technologies. I think this would be the wisest things to do, because we also have to make sure that we don't end up to be dependent on authoritarian countries like China when it comes to new technologies.
Sanna, for the last few minutes of this conversation, we're going to change lanes from global affairs, technology, to you. When I was preparing for this, I was very strict in making sure this would not be another OMG, how does it feel to be a young female prime minister type of conversation, because I just don't think these are for questions. But at the same time, it would be a waste not to ask about your career, the choices you have made, or any advice you may have. So with that, I would like to ask you, how do you deal with the fact that you have completed the top job one could serve to a nation in public service under the age of 40, and you probably have 3 more decades before retirement?
Or maybe more. I'm very grateful to be able to serve my country as a prime minister, especially during the hard times that we witnessed. It taught me a lot. The one thing it taught is that everything is about people. I have always been so mission and I would say agenda-oriented person. I always thought like the best argument will win. The best argument will win. I was always so mission-oriented person. But when I entered politics, I grew up in politics and then held the job of a prime minister. I, of course, learned that everything is to do with people. So the thing that I learned was people skills, and I cannot say that I'm still that good at it. I think I'm still learning. But the hard part isn't to know where you want to go or what will be the outcome. The hard part is really to get everybody on board. And this is something that I learned. I'm very grateful from the period that I was the prime minister. I'm very grateful that I was able to do that job. Now I'm also grateful that I can discuss and speak about the things that I think it's very important, like geopolitics, climate, gender equality, human rights, the rule-based order in the world, from different perspective, not as an institutional position, but from a different position that I held now. And now I can also speak more freely because I don't have that, I would say, a burden of only representing one government, but I can speak freely as a person from my own view. But I'm very grateful from those years and also very grateful what I can do now. Yeah. And hopefully make a difference in the world. And we need all of you also to make a difference in the world because the world really needs heroes.
It's wonderful to hear how you think about having impact, both in politics and outside of formal politics. Are you leaving the door open to ever go back to politics as elected official?
I wouldn't say, never say never. You never know what will happen. I don't have that passion now to go into politics in a perspective that you would have some kind of institutional position. I don't seek any positions, but still I think I do political work, so I enjoy that. I wouldn't say never, but I'm not looking into that right now. I'm not running to European Parliament or any kind of other positions. I know there have been some discussions in some places, but I'm not seeking that now.
Sanna, we're unfortunately at time. Thank you for this conversation, and you definitely prove that true leadership does not end with one's last day as Prime Minister. Thank you so much.
Thank you super much.